I'm back in the New York groove on the Infused show. It's day 2 of CWCBExpo here at the Javits Center in Manhattan. Every time we do one of these conference shows, I love when I get to talk to who I refer to as problem solvers in the cannabis space. And I'm joined by problem solvers. And I want to use a phrase from your website when you say that the application process is broken, so we fixed it. So I want to introduce our audience to we. I'm joined by Jordan and Melody of Cognitive Harmony Technologies. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. How was your experience at day 1 of this show so far?
I mean, I had a great time.
It was great. People are excited to hear that there's someone out there to help them, and that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
We love new states.
Yeah, no, and I love the fact that, this is a very communal experience being part of this industry, right? We have a good friend we interviewed from C1D1 Labs in Berkeley, Alex Barsky. And Alex, at the end of the show, I asked him, if you had one piece of advice to give people that are entering into this space, and Alex is a lifer, he's been in it for years, he said, get your paperwork in order. He said that was the one thing, and he articulated on it, and he went on and on and on, and he said, I've seen people's careers, inventions, technology absolutely and utterly ruined because their paperwork wasn't in order. So you guys help make sure that that doesn't happen. So could you give me the origin story of how your company came about?
So it began in Illinois.
Uh-huh.
Our business partners, Charles and Walter, were going to do a cannabis application. They are physicists. They're extremely smart. They know what they're doing, and they thought it was complicated.
Yeah.
So they got themselves through the application process and decided to develop a software that could help them automate the process and make it less complicated.
Yeah, but Jordan came on to help him through that process, I think.
Well, I was the consultant, so
Yeah.
I was the one they were paying a bunch of money to help them get the application done. And they're like, we can make this way better for us.
Wow, now is that a bit like changing teams, Jordan?
I did.
You
I
really did.
I went to the other side.
You went from the Red Sox to the Yankees.
Whoa.
I mean, that is like turning it over because
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, we could talk about time, all right?
Mm-hmm.
The application process is, what do you think it takes the average person? Months to complete?
Absolutely, it takes months.
And then when you add money to that, if you're working with a consultant, I don't know, we're talking 50 grand?
Oh, at least.
At least.
At least, for the most simple licensing.
For the most simple licensing. So we got to consider time, we got to consider money, and then the other thing I think that I've talked to so many people about in this particular industry is we have to work with someone that we can actually trust. And you guys have kind of just reinvented the wheel, so to speak. Tell us exactly what this does for the average person.
Well, look, we have a mission in our company to create $2 billion worth of wealth for underrepresented communities through cannabis business ownership. Because we don't want the cannabis industry to look like big tobacco. We don't want the cannabis industry to look like big pharma. We want the cannabis industry to look like cannabis. And one of the biggest problems is that the barrier to entry is just too high.
Absolutely.
So Walter and Charles got together. They've got these great scientific minds. They're like, well, we can automate this. And that actually is the missing piece between social equity programs and social equity laws that are being passed and actual cannabis business ownership that is more equitable. Because just because you make laws that say, well, you have to have someone on your app, doesn't necessarily mean that entrepreneurs and small business people can get through this process. Absolutely. Or that they have access to capital to do it when it's so expensive. So what we've done is just take that barrier to entry and kind of obliterate it. So we have programs in order to you can get from $30,000 through our accelerator, but working with some of our partners, we can get that cost down to $0 for particular applicants.
That is outstanding. Cheers on that. I mean, because that is one of the things that we need desperately in this industry, and you're helping fix that as well. Not only the application process, but a healthy and beautiful social equity program. Cheers to you for that.
Yeah, I think it's a marriage that needed to happen, and it needs to happen, and the other companies in the space need to kind of step up. People who are already making a lot of money, already established, they need to step up and to invest back into the community, and that's what we're here to do. Is we're here to create a place where we can bring everyone together. We can create win-win-win situations where we can go out there and through our impact investing program, source some funding, find the applicants that need it, and create a beautiful marriage where we can make cannabis look like cannabis.
That's amazing. And that's going to be a great day when that actually happens. And it's going to help some of the people that we work with, smaller, cultivators, tier 1 cultivators, kind of keep the level playing field. There's two things in this industry that we really just don't like, or the legends of the industry, legacy growers included, are getting left behind, and certainly a lack of social equity. So you're really doing a lot to help right the wrongs and redress things in our industry. A couple of things I wanted to talk about. In particular, you make sure that people do a very thorough job on that application process. I was on the website, I was checking out that you have a checklist, making sure everybody does a thorough job, but you also are able to guide people through regulations and compliance, which I always talk to growers that are going to work with us and say, who works compliance for you? Because it should be somebody's full-time gig, or at least full-time responsibility. So you've taken care of that as well. I'm loving what you do, and I'm loving the website. You can create your application with confidence using your CHT Accelerator program. How do people find you and get in touch with you?
You can find us on our website, cognitiveharmony.tech. Said it so many times.
Yeah.
Cognitiveharmony.tech. We also have Instagram, Cognitive Harmony Technologies. But if you sign up, you can access the platform actually right now. There's one free checklist. You can experience what that's going to look like for you. And it will sign you up for emails. So if you're in a new state, you'll start getting notifications if we plan on being in that state and how that process plays out.
Okay, so we can get on there, we can do the free trial, and speaking of that, I wanted to get in touch here for some of our listeners in the area. Plans to come to New York?
We will be in New York.
Absolutely, so we'll have Illinois, New Jersey, and you're going to be in New York to help some of the people at this show that are going to go through the application process. CHT is an amazing, amazing company. Jordan, Melody, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.
It was a great time. We'll see you next time, all right?
Great.
All right, thanks.
See ya. Hey, I got nothing to do today but smile. I'm the only living boy in New York. No, I'm not. You go to shows like this to find people, and I'm talking to an expert in finding people today at day 2 of the CWCBExpo here in Manhattan. I have a guest who's been kind enough to give us some time. Sitting with me is Mike Hewitt from Greenhaus HR. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. This is a pleasure. I love it.
It's an absolute pleasure. I love talking with people. I love meeting people at shows like this. And we suffered for about 2 years where we couldn't do get-togethers like this.
Yes, we did.
So how's your experience so far of this particular show?
This particular show is great. I think being the second day, we've met a lot of people, made a lot of great leads. Piggybacking on what you said, we had 2 really tough years, and this company was literally born within that COVID darkness that we were in for 2 years.
So you're able to create something beautiful from the darkness, huh?
I think this is one of the best things, at least on my end, that came out of COVID.
Well, look,
Greenhaus HR. So.
I think it is too, because Mike and I were talking a little bit beforehand, big secret revealed there, but he was telling me about the company, and I always hear the people we work with, whether they're cultivators, whether they're retailers, it's tough to find, not just people, but finding the right people.
Correct.
Trusting the right people to bring into this business. So tell us what Greenhaus HR does, Mike.
So Greenhaus HR really came out of the thought of taking away the staffing pain point for our clients. Right?
Okay.
It's really about taking, the identifying the people, right, the recruiting part,
right,
all the way down to the background check, the post-hire training, right? We're talking about cannabis and the lack of people, especially lack of people with cannabis experience, which seems to be such a heavy point here.
Yeah.
So where are we going to find these people, right? And once we do, how are they going to be integrated into cannabis? Post-hire training, a big part of that, right?
Yeah.
Integrating people from hospitality, retail, other sectors into the green space.
Excellent.
Yep.
It's really important that you get people that work in a cannabis business that understand. Well, you have to do a lot of education, do you not?
Yes.
As far as the plant and the culture, so you do all that.
Yeah, that's really part of the big picture, right? From finding someone all the way for them to hit that retail floor or manufacturing or cultivation. what are the steps to get them there, right?
Yeah.
So part of it is identifying the right people, like you said, vetting them correctly, making sure they are who they say they are.
Sure.
Making sure it's a cultural fit, skill set as well, that fit. And then background checks, again, that's another layer of help.
Yeah.
Then we have the HR consulting side, then we have the post-hire training, all integrated into one platform, a tech platform. We have an ATS system that's going to help clients get through that whole process.
That's outstanding.
So we feel it's obviously compelling, right? It's not just 6 or 7 different services with different contracts, different point people. It's all into one little bundle.
Yeah, we always hear about turnover rate in this industry being poor as a result of finding the wrong people. I love that your tagline is, let us take care of the people.
Yeah.
Let us take care of them.
We are the people, right? So we've gotten to a point where we can pretty much find anyone. If we don't know them, we'll probably know someone that knows them.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to do it, right? It's really our network strength that's going to get us to the right people.
Right.
But hey, we're in it's a human element as well, right? Sometimes they don't work out.
Sure.
And then that's our integrity on the line as well. We need to be there and make sure that the client gets what they do need if it's a second time around, right? That is a reality of the business. There is turnover, right? We need to understand why that happened so we can learn from that and hopefully get it right the second time, right? Whether it's the client's fault, the candidate's fault, there's a lot of variables.
Yeah, and I think Mike has a special arrow in his quiver, though, coming from the field of hospitality, because there is a relative aspect, is there not?
Yeah, I mean, some people could call it the wild, wild west, right? Hospitality, right? Definitely a lot of characters in this industry, right? So cannabis, I think, has a lot of the similar skill sets that would apply as far as guest-facing, product-driven, inventory control, walking someone through an experience, right? A lot of that is, translates right over from hospitality to cannabis. That's where we feel our network strength can really come into play, along with the players involved at Greenhaus HR with decades of experience in each vertical that we do.
Right.
I think that's another selling point. That we're ready for this green wave.
Yeah, and coming from an industry where you're focused on treating someone as a guest, that's the thing I think that really does fit in this space.
It is. I mean, and I did some research. Again, this all came through COVID when the hospitality industry pretty much died on us, right?
Yeah.
And we had hundreds and hundreds of people looking for jobs, asking for leads, et cetera. That's really where the light bulb came, right? And said, okay, well, cannabis, right? That's an emerging industry, blowing up. They need staff. We have idle staff looking for jobs. Let's make that connection. Within a month or so, we had a couple clients. We made our first couple placements, and that's when that proof of concept clicked. Okay, and then how do we make this into a bigger, more robust engine, right? And I think having that tech side to it, I think really helped. Yeah. So now we have this suite of services that a client can just one click, they log on, they have everything in front of them.
That is so cool. It's a really easy company to root for somebody like me, because you did something really good with the right mindset and bringing something really, really strong and much needed to our space.
I appreciate
you have a hell of a story. I love it. And part of that story, if I'm right, you just launched at this particular moment.
Correct. This is our coming out party.
Are we your first interview, Mike?
Yeah.
There it is.
Happy Pride Month,
there
everybody.
There it is. We scored one.
Woo! Literally launched yesterday. Obviously, a lot of time and years in the works in the background, but finally we are ready. We wanted to make sure that all the modules were ready, that we had the right team in place. Everything so that we can take care of our clients, right? We expect to be busy, and we want to make sure that we deliver.
So, important questions as far as those clients go. Where are you working?
Everywhere.
So
we're New York based, of course. That's our core, right? And we know that there's going to be a lot of action on the East Coast, especially New York, New Jersey, et cetera. But everywhere, right? Right now, the labor market is hot, right? As we know. And it's going to be on both coasts, and we need to be where the action is.
All right, and how do people find you?
GreenhausHR.com. That's a good way. You can find us on Instagram, GreenhausHR. You can email at info@greenhaushr.com and come straight to me.
I love talking with people I consider to be problem solvers in the cannabis space. I love people that are doing what I call the big work and helping a lot of people. Mike Hewitt has been my guest, Greenhaus HR. Mike, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I'll see you next time, all right?
See ya.
All right. It's day 2 of the CWCBExpo here in the city that never sleeps. Looking around, I think it's easy to see that not everybody got their sleep last night. I'm looking at my producer right now, and I'm wondering if that's the case. Look, this is a place to be. A lot of great minds in the cannabis space are here, and I'm sitting next to one of them. Matthew Khalili of the Plan Writers has been kind enough to give me some of his time. Matthew, thank you so much for being on Infused with me.
It's a pleasure, Nick.
It's a great show so far. Give me your first day's worth of observations.
It's just so exciting. You know, what I love about this and working in a new state with new energy, it just brings so many different people together, right? Like the diversity here is beautiful.
Absolutely.
The spirit is just incredible. Like a lot of hungry people that, you know, can see that this could change their lives and it's something they're passionate about, and it's just like once in a lifetime opportunity. And what I love is because I just always track like new states and get involved.
Yeah.
And it's just I get to experience this over and over again.
Right.
So so fortunate.
We're both very fortunate to be here in this moment because it's exciting. It's never going to happen again, and the potential of this area and this market is just the excitement is palpable, and you can feel it when you walk on the trade floor here. So on the trade floor of the expo, there are neighbors here, the Plan Writers. And Matthew, tell us about what you do in the cannabis space with the Plan Writers.
Absolutely. So we have a service, and what we do is we prepare their business plans for success. Our clients can hire us for all sorts of purposes. Generally, they're early stage startups. They dedicated to getting their business off the ground. And what we'll do is we'll put a plan together that does full ownership, takes full ownership of what they want to do. What that means is we reverse engineer their goals. They want to raise money and start a cannabis business. How do we do that? How much money do you need? How do you get there? What type of marketing plans you need? What type of budgets you need to execute? We help them figure all that out and really portray their founder story so they can get financing and lobby for their local authorities and state applications.
So a lot of people that walk the floor of this show and that come up to booths like yours, there are a lot of great minds that come in here with great ideas, and they want to contribute, they want to be part of this. When working with startups, I find that fascinating because so many people are ready to enter this space. What has your experience been working with people that have a good idea, that are ready to bring it to the space? But could you give me like a great success story of yours, the client you worked with, or a great story?
Absolutely. So I could just say ideas are generally worthless. You know, it's the people behind those ideas that are everything. It's 99%. One of the most exciting things I've done recently is I had a client come to my booth, and we worked on a project with him in Illinois. He was literally homeless, and then when he hired me, he barely got off the streets, worked a government job, and you know, he was a real entrepreneur.
Really?
But coming from no means. I did him a favor. He put $10,000 on a credit card with me. I told him, are you sure you want to do this? This is a really big risk.
Yeah.
And he hustled like no man I've ever seen, right? He just wanted to open a humble craft cultivation in Illinois. He knew his town. He was able to convince a landlord to let him put his project in escrow and apply for a license. He hired me. We busted our ass to tell his story, and he won. He got a license. He leveraged that 5-10x. He put together teams, and he's incredibly successful right now. And now he's doing this in different states. And just when I met him, he was barely sheltered.
Wow.
Right? And before that, he was homeless. And that guy put $10,000 on a credit card, and he had the courage to do it. So I look at him, and I kind of compare him to just people working their 9-to-5s and afraid to invest in themselves and spend a little bit of money. And I'm like, look, you're either an entrepreneur or you're not, man. This man comes from no means, just, a minority. He just did it.
Yeah.
I don't care about the idea. I care about the human factor.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's the story we love to hear, Matthew. But that's got to make you had to sleep soundly at night thinking back on this gentleman. What a story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what our industry needs.
Absolutely. Wasn't a sophisticated guy either. He just, in business, don't need an MBA. I don't even want you to have an education. I want you to hustle. And I want you to listen to smart people and be humble.
give him the means, build him a plan, and watch the guy hustle to success. Now operating in multiple states. That's just fantastic. A lot of people that are looking to enter New York come up to our booth, come up to your booth, I'm sure, say, well, I have an idea about a dispensary. I have an idea about a grow. Or this is my team, this is what we do. Are you giving out a lot of sage advice at this one, do's and don'ts, for people that are ready to come into the space?
So the best advice I like to give people is when you want advice, ask people for money.
Yeah.
When you want money, ask people for advice.
That's a lovely way, roundabout.
So really kind of the theme to that is, right, like people who are hungry to learn will succeed.
Sure.
People that just want to jump straight to success without wanting to learn, you know, it's a longer, more difficult path.
Yeah, it's a process, right? And I think everybody, we're a culture that really wants, give me the answer right now, and not really into critical thought to get to that answer. So when there's a process involved, yeah, it turns some people off and they don't go through the entire process. If people are looking for a lifeline and looking to hire you, Matthew, and get in touch with you for your expertise, how do they do that?
Sure. Go on my website, www.planwriters.net. Give us a call. We'll give you a free consult. And bottom line, we're here to help you, right? Tell us what your goals are. And, you know, if you're trying to raise your first round of money to execute your vision, I'll tell you what it takes. I'll be dead honest with you. You know, really the biggest blessing you could ever give me is to succeed. I love helping entrepreneurs succeed.
Listen, Matthew Khalili from the Plan Writers has been our guest, and it's a great story. It's a great vision that you have, and you're giving people opportunity. It seems like you're really into investing in people, and I really admire that.
Thank you.
All right, he's been our guest. You can visit the website, and you're going to want to. Matthew Khalili of the Plan Writers on the Infused Show. Matthew, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having us, Nick.
We appreciate it. Hot Town, summer in the city, New York City, Cannabis Expo, CWCBE, Day 2. We are here in the Javits Center, and I'm sitting down with somebody that I'm so excited to talk to, and I'm very honored to talk to. Jeremy Rivera of Kush Culture's my guest. Jeremy, thanks for your time today, man.
Oh, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you being here. Is it your first time at one of these shows?
Yes, it is. It's my first time. My partner was here yesterday. I worked yesterday. Obviously, you know, had to pay the bills, but I came here today. I took the day off to make sure that I'm here, able to see everything that's going on, and now the pleasure to speak to you.
Good, man. Oh, thank you. Look, what's your experience so far?
I think it's amazing. I think we're getting off to a great step. I think we're moving in the right direction for New York State once we get our dispensary licenses. We've already awarded some growers with their licensing, so step by step, we'll keep on moving forward. Step by step, little building blocks, and of course that's the most important thing about events like this. Here are the building blocks of the community, making connections, going with that. Now, as far as this particular event is concerned, I always have a couple of concerns in this industry as it expands. And one of the big concerns with me, we talked a little bit in pre-show about, I don't want to see this become like the Philip Morris cannabis industry, the Budweiser cannabis industry, and the big guys only having play. And I also want to right the wrongs of the past and make sure we don't leave the legacy people behind. So I'm honored if you would share your story of how you got into the game. Absolutely. Well, I was just released from New York State Prison 4 years ago. Since then, I've been working in construction. I've moved my way up. I've applied for various New York State and national safety licenses, which a lot of the times I got denied for. I appealed and won. I'm currently an OSHA instructor, and I own a not-for-profit assisting people in my community. I'm from South Jamaica, Queens, a highly impoverished neighborhood. I assist guys getting their construction certifications and then gain lawful employment. So my idea for the cannabis industry is the same thing. We cannot forget about the people that were adversely affected by these policies. The stop and frisk and the, hey, I smell pot, let me rip you out of your car. And the families that were destroyed in the process. Absolutely. So with all this that's going to be generated, all the revenue, we need to be able to give back to the communities, especially now that we are such in a violent state in New York City. We're getting kids that are carrying guns and killing other kids on a daily basis. Maybe if they put down the guns and pick up the pruners or pick up some more knowledge in the cannabis industry and open their mind, get them up to some farms to learn some things. Maybe we can stop the violence one step at a time. Oh, no doubt. And even just somebody having a job, having that part of an identity, it gives you pride, it improves your self-worth. Exactly. You give people a purpose to live. You can't expect them to do things when you're not giving them an opportunity to grow. And I see the cannabis industry in New York State, especially in New York City, in these impoverished neighborhoods, a great opportunity to teach kids something else.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I'm hoping for as a legacy applicant and a social equity applicant. I'm hoping that my voice is heard and I'm able to open a dispensary in my neighborhood and give back to the community.
Yeah, yeah, and look, our culture, and I'm glad you brought it up, we're going through a very violent period in this
We
region.
are.
And when people lose their way, culturally, we're not really good at giving them a way back.
That's the thing.
We really aren't. Like, oh, we'll cancel you, but give them a pathway back. You're doing that.
I'm trying, and I'm hope that I get some motivation and some growth behind me to assist me in it too. I can't do it by myself. I need everybody to understand the problem we have and look at this as a solution and give us some help.
Absolutely. Now, when people contact Kush Culture, what can you do for them?
Basically, right now, Kush Culture is in the process since the licenses haven't been awarded yet. We're still in the process of the application, so I haven't gotten a license. If I am deemed to receive a license, the first thing I would like to do is start hiring from either probation or parole, or hiring from boys and girls clubs in the inner cities and giving people a job.
Outstanding. I can't tell you how much respect I have for you, Jeremy, and what you're doing for your community. It's like you came out of a dark period for you ready to prop your community up.
We have to. I took so much. I was a longtime gang member. I was a legacy participant in the streets. I took a lot away from my neighborhoods. And in my last prison stint, I had an awakening. I was at a very low point in my life. And sitting in solitary confinement, I thought to myself, what am I still doing here? And when I came home, I made a conscious decision to change the things that I was doing before, people, places, and things, and start doing new things. And more productive things. Eagles don't fly with pigeons, and pigeons don't fly with ducks. So if I want to be somebody that's going to give back, I need to be around people who are willing to give back also and understand my mission and join me in that.
If people want to be part of this mission and people want your help, how do they contact you, Jeremy?
So we have an Instagram, Turp Brothers. Also, I have a Kush Culture website that we can give them.
All right. So we have turpbrothers.nyc on
Yes,
Instagram.
sir.
All right. And we can reach out via email, kushculturenyc@gmail.com. I really can't stress this enough, Jeremy. You're doing incredible work that's much needed in this industry and much needed in the community at large.
I really appreciate your time in this avenue to hear me.
Look, it's been a blessing having you here. So
Thank you
I
so
hope to
much.
do it again, all right?
Absolutely, anytime. I'm always available.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, bro.